Talking about Mike Green, you may not know, but now you do. Tonight will be the 100th NBA Finals game that he calls, and so we all offer our congratulations. He is your Hall of Fame classmate, Michael Wilbon.
Already in the Hall of Fame. But you know, one reason I'm going to leave these earbuds or whatever they are in, so I can hear Mike Breen's call. Yes, and Mark and Jeff too, but I want to hear Mike Breen even in this arena because it's one of the highlights.
A living legend, and it's somebody that's worked alongside of him these last couple of decades and had him call a lot of the games that I've played as well. It's an honor to call him a friend.
Greatest thing you could say about somebody in his position is that when they show up, you know it counts.
Oh, yeah.
And that's Mike Breen. You know, when he's around, you know it's a big deal. It's a big deal. He's great. He's phenomenal. Proud to call him a colleague.
Cheers. He did not want any part of this, by the way. He is such an incredibly non-assuming person. He did not want any of this fanfare, but we're doing it anyway, Mike. So congratulations on your 100th. Okay, how does Miami get him his 101st on Thursday night, Stephen A.? How do they win this game tonight?
Prayer. Lots of it. It's over. And let me tell you this right now. I mean, listen, I hope I'm wrong. Please don't get me wrong. But the way they've been shooting the basketball, I have no choice but to believe it's over. If you can't go from the Mile High City with this mile-high altitude and go from there to South Beach and have that energize you and inspire you to win in front of your home crowd, why in the hell should I have any faith that you're going to come back to the Mile High City and win a second game here in this series? You got to shoot the ball. In the 5 postseason games they've won since the Eastern Conference Finals started, they've shot better than 48% from threes. In the 5 games they've lost, they've shot about 34%. You've got to do better. I don't anticipate that'll happen tonight, and that's why I believe this series is over, and so is my time in South Beach, at least for the moment.
I think they can scrap, they can fight, they can do all the things that have become characteristic of this team in beating the favorite Knicks, the favorite Bucks, and the favorite Celtics. But they've maxed out. We're not going to see any more of that. It's very, very unlikely. How can they push this series to Game 6? Hold Joker and Jamal to 60 points and assists.
Yeah.
That's the magic. That's the over-under. Hold them below that. They have a really good chance of pushing this back. And then we'll say, Stephen A., what do you got to say now? If they can do that. But you know what
I have to say is that I'll see you in South Beach. As I'm going straight from here to South Beach. That's what I tell you.
It's bigger than the X's and O's. It's bigger than the stats. It's almost like fighting somebody that you know you can't beat. You got to do something you wouldn't normally do. And you got to create an enemy out there. You got to say some mean things. You got to get up in their face and impede their progress. You got to force the Denver Nuggets to take away their precision by making them think about what you're doing physically and what you're saying to them. And so the other thing it will help is your best players have to show up and be such. Jimmy Butler, when he drives 11 times, he can't pass 9. Bam Adebayo can't have 7 turnovers as the best player, and obviously they're going to be the leaders if the role players are going to be able to step up and make plays.
Now, they've run into a very tough road here, and we'll see if they're able to keep it alive. They will have Tyler Hero, at least we believe, active tonight. We'll see how much he's able to help them. Woj reported that a little bit earlier. In the meantime, Woj has been very busy today, as he always is. He joins us from the floor right now because, Woj, there's fairly big news away from these finals. In some ways, we could say maybe the first domino of free agency has fallen with a former NBA champion. Woj, take it away.
Hey, Greeny, that's right. Toronto's all-star guard, Fred VanVleet. He's declining, I'm told, his nearly $23 million player option for next season. He'll become an unrestricted free agent and one of the most prominent players in July free agency. Now, he's not ruling out a return on a new deal in Toronto, but VanVleet is going to be a player with a lot of interest in summer free agency, both with teams who have salary cap space, but then others who might like to work a sign and trade with the Raptors, who don't have that cap space. There were a number of teams at the trade deadline, a lot of contenders who'd love to get at Fred VanVleet, 29 years old in his prime, led the Raptors to that 2019 NBA championship and one of the sturdiest players in the league, second in the league in minutes this past year, had a career high in assists. So when we get into July free agency, still 2.5 weeks away, Fred VanVleet is going to be a real prominent part of that, Greeny.
That's going to be a big story in the postseason, the offseason, which could begin in about 3.5 hours, depending on how things go here tonight. Woj, thank you very much as we continue to count it down to tonight's Game 5. Jalen, there he is, Nikola Jokic.
Leading the playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists. Obviously, if they go on to win this thing, he's going to be the Finals MVP.
We'll be right back. Not only in the building, it might go home tonight with the home team, the champs, looking to wrap this thing up. Jalen's excited for it. Michael Wilbon, Stephen A. Smith. I'm Mike Greenberg. We couldn't be more looking forward to tonight's Game 5 as the Nuggets, who never won a championship in the ABA either, look to win their first ever title. The Heat looking to stay alive. In fact, our opening tip tonight, the Nuggets on the brink of making that history, on the verge of their first championship. It's the 47th season in their NBA history. That would be the most seasons played by any franchise at the time of its first title. But the Heat not done yet, despite trailing 3-1, including Game 2 of these finals. They've won 7 road games in these playoffs, their most in a postseason in team history. But Miami now on the brink of elimination after a strong performance from Jamal Murray in Game 4. He had 12 assists and no turnovers, the most assists in a finals game without a turnover since Magic Johnson in 1987. The other reason the Heat are down 3-1, of course, is Jokic, the third player ever to average 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 55% shooting through the first 4 games of an NBA Finals ever. He joins Giannis and Shaq, who did it 3 times in a row from 2000 through 2002. So if you could, Stephen A., sort of summon up your old days as a columnist, how should we put into perspective, how should we describe what we are seeing from Nikola Jokic?
Spectacular, special, unique in his own right. Looks like he's slow, cannot jump onto a curb, and there is absolutely positively nothing that you can do to stop him. As you pointed out, with his 30 and 10 and shooting 55% from the field, 44% from three-point range in the postseason. In closeout games this postseason, he's averaging 33, 13, 10.8 assists, and oh, by the way, 49% shooting from the field, 48% from three-point range. It's nothing short of spectacular. It's nothing short of unstoppable, and you can see and witness the demoralization kicking in on a part of the Miami Heat. You want to know what kind of impact you're having? It's when another team looks at you and goes like this. Damn. Yeah. And they just shrug their shoulders because it's over.
It's a new world basketball performance, particularly at that position. I mean, as great an athletes as we've seen over the decades playing that positions, the Kareems and the Olajuwons and the Shaquille O'Neals, going back to Wilt, of course, Wilton Russell. You didn't see a guy that size take the ball off the glass and dribble it down 2/3 of the court to start and initiate offense. That was unthinkable. Jalen, what would coaches have done? Old school coaches would have had a heart attack, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And so now you see Joker, yes, you got the shooting, that's worldwide at every position. But there still aren't that many bigs who do the things that he's doing offensively, the varied kinds of things and the way he initiates. So we're watching something that's different, that's evolutionary in the basketball stage.
Absolutely, and I remember saying this literally 10 years ago, how positions were created so a novice can follow the game. The Joker embodies positionless basketball. He's the definition of what the new era player is expected to be like. When you see Victor Wembanyama going #1 overall, that's where the league is now going. A guy that can lead you in rebounds while leading you in assists, plus leading you in points. And the other thing, an unassuming superstar, a la Tim Duncan, and watching a homegrown draft pick become an MVP caliber player like Tim did to go on to win 5 championships, or Dirk did to win his championship with the Dallas Mavs.
All fair. Tim Duncan, though, was the first pick in the draft. This is really a remarkable story. He was a second-round pick who came off the bench for this franchise for a long time. That's part of the story here as well.
It's a credit to the franchise, the level of faith they had in him, the level of patience, their player development.